Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Ahead in the news tonight, the FNM elects a new leadership team. Is the government gutting the media? OPM says no. And the DPM asks police to investigate a viral voice note. Welcome to our news. I'm Megan Shepard. Thanks so much for joining us. 5 months after its election defeat, the Free National Movement elected a new slate of executives today, including a deputy leader and chairman. Hundreds of delegates cast their votes as the party caps off its 3-day convention tonight. Bethany McDermott has that top story.
Free National Movement supporters gathered at the grounds of the Holy Trinity Activity Center today as the new leadership team was elected. As for the closely watched race of Deputy Leader, St. Barnabas MP Shannon Don Cartwright got 332 votes. As for St. Anne's MP Adrian White, he got 101 votes. We caught up with both men this evening, Cartwright calling it an honor to work with the party leader. This, as White said, despite the defeat, he's still feeling great and is looking forward to the work of the new leadership team.
Well, I believe fundamentally we have to get to the business of strengthening our constituency associations. We know how important they are to our agenda in terms of regaining the government. And so we're going to be doing our endeavor best and our earnest, as we have been over the past few weeks.
I'm feeling great, still elected as a member of Parliament for St. Anne's. We had a very exciting race. Everybody's eyes were on the deputy leadership bid. I know that I contributed a lot to that.
As for the three-way race for party chairman, former health minister Dr. Dwayne Sands came out victorious with 183 votes. A close second was Ellsworth Johnson with 169 votes, while Michael Folks got 83 votes. We caught reaction from both Sands and Johnson this afternoon following the reading of those results.
My role as CEO or chairman of this organization is to make this party battle ready. That means that we will be working with all of the associations, all of the people that have supported this great party and want to support this great party as we prepare the vision for this great Bahamas.
I feel victorious. We've participated in a remarkable process, a democratic process where the people have spoken.
Now, party faithfuls are wrapping up here and are headed over to the Imperial Ballroom at the Atlantis Resort for the third and final night of the party's national convention. There, they will hear from the newly elected chairman, deputy leader, and the party's leader, Michael Pintard. Reporting for our news, I'm Bethany McDermott.
3 of the FNM's former leaders cast their votes today in the party's elections. Former Prime Ministers Hubert Ingram and Dr. Hubert Minnis, as well as former MP Tommy Turnquest, all weighed in on the FNM convention and the direction they believe the party should go in. Jasmine Brown reports.
While the former party leaders will not be addressing the convention tonight, they did address the media today as they came to vote here at the Holy Trinity Activity Center, and they weighed in on what the convention will mean for the party. From former Prime Ministers Ingram and Dr. Minnis. To former Mount Moriah MP Tommy Turnquest, these former leaders of the Free National Movement all agreed that the party should come out stronger at the end of the convention. They also praised the democratic process.
I'm optimistic that the party will settle on a list of candidates today who will work with the leader, Mr. Pintard, and bring us together, heal the wounds, put forward a program that the public of the Bahamas can buy into and accept.
But the party's going to have to, as in opposition, get back down to basics. Get down to the grassroots funding, get people involved so that everybody feels that they have a vested interest in the party.
The FNM was swept out of office last September. Following the loss, then party leader Dr. Hubert Minnis did not nominate for the position ahead of the FNM's one-day convention in November. With a new slate of executives in place, Minnis says he is willing to help.
Whatever assistance the party would need, especially to remove the PLP and put us back on the right track, I would do. I'm the Member of Parliament for Killarney, and I will represent Killarney. I was Prime Minister, and I have a lot of knowledge. Lots of decisions we made. Individuals would question, and I would be there to defend those decisions.
There has been talk of tension between Minister and former Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest, who told a rally stage on Wednesday night that a perception of arrogance got the F&M booted out of office. Minister said he had no beef with Turnquest, even after he was criticized for not greeting him as he entered the convention hall that night.
We were all in the holding room together. I've heard that people said there is no such thing. There's nothing between the deputy and I. And in fact, I've called them to have a big laugh about it.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Government is not gutting the media, according to Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Clint Watson, who insisted that industry professionals are taking advantage of better opportunities to further their careers. Watson has also attracted scrutiny after he took up a political appointment following the PLP's election to office. Jared Higgs takes a closer look.
A Nassau Guardian editorial published this week by Candia Dames pointed out that questions have arisen since Watson, who was a regular critic of the Minister administration, left media to take the job as press secretary at OPM. For his part, Watson says he was offended by the suggestion the government is trying to gut the media.
I find it insulting that we would think that they are being fished from somewhere rather than they are making decisions that they believe are in the best interest of their careers.
Watson leads a list of prominent journalists and talk show hosts who have gone on to roles in government. Wendell Jones, publisher and popular radio host, was appointed Bahamas ambassador to the United States. Kyle Joaquin, a former news anchor at this station, is heading up the communications office in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Nahaja Black, the former host of The Hitback on Guardian Radio, is taking up a diplomatic post in Canada. Former Our News reporters Gillian Gray and Giorgio Bain also taking up government jobs in the Office of the Prime Minister and Ministry of Agriculture, respectively. There are other reporters who have left the field, and there are reports that more resignations may be coming. Referring to his own decision to leave media, Watson says he wanted a chance to play a more active role in solving people's problems.
When I sat on the desk every night and I heard people call me with their problems, I heard people call me with their challenges, I got tired of telling this story and not being a part of the change that needed to happen in our country. So when this opportunity came, I made a commitment that I would use the opportunity to help the Bahamian people.
Watson and the editorial writers at The Guardian agree that individuals should do what's in their best interests. But that still begs the question, is government leveraging its ability to offer incentives, jobs abroad, or jobs with higher pay, to reduce the media's ability to hold them accountable?
We don't complain when other companies, private sectors, leverage people or offer competitive packages to try and get the best. It's what's called the business world. That's how people are able to advance, by being able to attract people. And so the government would like to attract people. But I'll tell you, you'd be surprised if you talk to individuals, you find that many of them are too ecstatic to get out of where they came from. Because they're looking for opportunities. And if we can be a helping hand to help somebody out of a bad situation, we're happy to do that.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Meantime, Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper has formally requested that police investigate a voice note that is circulating on WhatsApp. He spoke out on the matter this morning.
The matter is being looked into by the police.
Cooper briefly discussed the matter with reporters today on the sidelines of a Good Governance Symposium hosted by the Organization for Responsible Governance.
My lawyers are looking into it. I came into politics with my integrity intact. I will leave with my integrity intact. I will not allow anybody to besmirch my good name. I have a long-standing reputation in financial services and in the business community, and I will defend my reputation with every fiber of my being. Anyone who chooses to make allegations against me, they will need to be prepared to respond appropriately under the law in the courts.
In a letter addressed to Commissioner of Police Paul Roll on February 24th, the Deputy Prime Minister references a voice note that he says makes false allegations against him. He adds the voice note accuses him of conflict of interest. Cooper said today, for too long in the Bahamas, public servants and ministers have allowed their names to be smeared sometimes without responding appropriately. He asserted, enough is enough.
People volunteer for public service, and I think we ought to be decent enough to acknowledge that it is public service and they're working in the national interest. And any attempt to besmirch their name or drag them down is not in the national interest.
Cabbage Beach vendors voiced their concerns to Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper today during his visit to the beach on Paradise Island. Our Cale Campbell reports.
Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper met with Cabbage Beach vendors today to hear their concerns. Cooper said the Ministry of Tourism is committed to improving the Cabbage Beach experience for tourists and vendors. He added there will be increased police patrols at the beach frequented by hotel guests.
I wanted to see for myself, and that's why I'm here, really to talk with the vendors to hear their concerns.
Longtime vendor Ishmael Sutherland says he hopes the government will follow through with promises made, adding they've been paid lip service before.
Our main concern is restrooms. All the other beaches around Nassau has restrooms, and this is a world-renowned beach where everybody knows about Cabbage Beach, so we definitely need our restroom system put in. And lifeguards, that's number 2. We need lifeguards, so we the ones who save people's life if anybody goes down. We take it upon ourselves to go and do it.
Larry Miller, a Cabbage Beach vendor for 30 years, describes the Deputy Prime Minister's visit as a wonderful surprise. Miller says Cooper's response to their concerns was positive and he looks forward to working with the Ministry of Tourism.
One of the main concern was that having people out to the road, meeting, running into the guests and going to the taxis and trying to pull the people out of taxis, what they call renegades or hustlers out there on the road out there. That was one of our main concern. And we addressed that we'll have that regulated.
Cabbage Beach vendors previously butted heads with developers after being denied access to the beach. Last summer, government had to step in after a fence was erected to block beach access.
Nobody getting kicked off or getting put out as long as you have your business license. If you have your business license and saying that you work here, you here. But then we have a lot of people who don't work out here. They be coming by and still getting into the business, so that's what we mainly want to clean up.
From last year, we putting them on notice. The beach belongs to the Bahamian people. The Bahamas belongs to the Bahamians. We ain't letting nobody come here and make us second and third citizen in our own country. Nobody.
Reporting for our News, I'm Cale Campbell.
Partly cloudy conditions expected tonight. Meteorologist Greg Thompson joins us with a first look at weather. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Megan, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this Friday. We're winding down February, starting to wind out. 74 degrees outside our studios right now, mostly cloudy skies, some patchy clouds moving across your winds, east-northeast at 9 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature at 72. Satellite view, we have some patchy clouds moving across the islands courtesy of that high-pressure system out there, that easterly wind bringing in some low-level moisture, so we're seeing a couple of spotty showers, but it will remain quiet for the night, and temperatures will be comfortable by tomorrow morning. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, 2 men murdered overnight in separate incidents, and the Bahamas braces for the impact of the Russian invasion. The details right after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Two men believed to be in their early 20s were murdered in separate incidents overnight. The first killing happened just after 7 p.m. on Blue Hill Road, south of Cowpen Road. Police press liaison Superintendent Audley Peters gave these details on the scene.
Our officers responded, and on their arrival they met a young male on the western side of the street. It would appear to be gunshot wounds about his body. The emergency medical services visited the scene, and following their assessment, that victim was pronounced lifeless. The information in that incident suggests that the male was walking along the street when a small vehicle approached him. A lone gunman stepped out, discharged his firearm in his direction, and that victim succumbed to his injuries.
Hours later, police were called to another crime scene on Pond Lane in the Black Village community.
Our initial investigations indicate that two males were sitting under a tree when a small vehicle came through the street, and two males exited that vehicle brandishing firearms. They discharged their weapons in the direction of the male, hitting them, resulting in one being hospitalized and the other succumbing to his injury.
Former Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Henfield is urging the government to remove VAT off bread basket items and medicines, as he argued the conflict between Russia and Ukraine will have dire consequences.
Early this morning, Russia launched a long-predicted attack on Ukraine, which has the potential to evolve into all-out war in Europe. Conflict in Europe will be felt here at home and elsewhere in the world.
Now, Russian attacks on Ukraine have caused turmoil in the financial markets. Oil surged to over $100 per barrel for the first time since 2014, and experts predict that prices could rise. Henfield says worldwide conflict will no doubt impact the cost of goods, and it's something the Bahamas cannot afford.
In Parliament last week, we indicated that the cost of food in our country, which is admittedly driven by external events, is just too high. Inflation is now at 40-year highs. Shipping costs are almost prohibitive. The price of fuel will likely increase, and we will pay the price.
When our news returns, meet the street preacher pounding the pavement to share God's word. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is Our News. Welcome back. In a digital age when some people are more interested in social media than spiritual guidance, a 22-year-old man has become a street preacher, sharing God's word with passerby. Sharika Johnson tells us more.
His words come from God and they are true.
Nathan Mackey is not a typical 22-year-old. As a child, he felt the spiritual call to preach on the streets. Despite criticism, he frequents Meadows and Nassau streets, proclaiming a personal conviction.
They might say, that I'm out of my mind or that I'm crazy for preaching like this on the streets, but they don't understand, how urgent God's message is.
While dressed in a coat suit and a broad brim hat to shield him from the sun, he's armed with an amplified speaker, microphone, and a Bible.
I've encountered many people, after preaching, who have come to me. They have told me that they've been listening to the things I'm saying, whether they parked in their cars in the parking lot or they are driving by, or, they're just walking by and they're in the area. They may stop and hear the word. And, many different people have told me that they listen to the things that I say, and that they're hearing my words, which are really the words of God.
Mackey, who works in construction part-time, says he was not always spiritual.
The light came to be placed in me. And because it came to be in me, that's what caused the change in my thinking and my behavior. Because there was a time I didn't know God and I came to be renewed in mind and in spirit.
For our news, I'm Sharika Johnson.
And still ahead, a Bahamian director's newest project hits the big screen this weekend. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Beautiful weather all weekend. Greg is back with the latest.
Thanks again, Megan, and welcome back, everybody, for our final look at weather on this Friday evening. Nice conditions outside our studios. That high-pressure ridge remains in charge of our weather, and that's been persistent for almost the whole week. So we've been having some quiet weather, breezy, temperatures warmed up into the 80s. That high pressure will continue to slide out towards the east. We do have a low-level disturbance just to the east of the islands. That's going to be getting near the Bahamas, so we could see some isolated showers by then. And also we're watching a frontal system that's going to be taking shape across the Gulf of Mexico. Should get in here by Sunday into Monday. Couple isolated showers. We don't expect a real cool down behind that, but we should experience some very nice weather for next week. Boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be easterly at 15 to 20 knots. Seas running 4 to 7 feet. Those winds are continuing out there. Very brisk. Low tide will be at 9:03 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Friday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night and have a great weekend, everybody. Megan?
A Bahamian film director has partnered with Fusion Superplex to premiere the first episode of her 4-part series, Easy Love. Cale Campbell reports.
Making its big screen debut on Saturday night is Easy Love, the film adaptation of a book that explores the experiences of a young Bahamian girl attending school abroad. It will be Bahamian director Corel Pinder's first narrative film.
There is a unique Bahamian feel. There's that factor that we can relate to as Bahamians, but I make sure that it's universal enough that no matter where you are in the world, you will connect with the storyline, but you would appreciate the unique Bahamian aspects that are plugged into the film.
Inspired by her late brother, Pinder took the first leap towards her dream by attending film school in Los Angeles. Upon returning to the Bahamas, she learned her friend, Jillian Storr, was writing a book inspired by her personal love story. Pinder then decided to take on the challenge of directing her first narrative film. It first premiered at Pelican Bay Hotel in Grand Bahama, the island where it was filmed. Pinder says the most challenging aspect of filming was funding.
Putting on a project like this, I tell people all the time, a very low budget, even if we paid low budget for this, would be $100,000 to $150,000. But we got creative professionals that volunteered their time, creative directors of photography, Alfred Anderson, creative editors like Craig Joaquin, and we had Rory Storr, who is on audio, and we had Jiggy Productions, who also helped with Second Unit.
Though the characters are university students, Pinder says older audiences can relate. She now has her sights set on a film centered on Black love.
What I say about Easy Love all the time is it's not perfect love, but it's pure love. And I think when people see the story come together, they'll realize that, we go through mistakes, we do things that, we're not always so proud of, but at the end of the day, watching them overcome, watching them fight for it, watching them, see that come alive, I think people were inspired.
The film premieres at Fusion Superplex on Saturday night at 7. Marketing coordinator Jessica Christoph says Fusion prides itself on supporting Bahamian talent.
Just recently we had an art showcase called Fuse where we featured a few Bahamian artists, and wherever there's musicians, wherever there's dancers, singers, we look forward to having them showcase their work as well.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Cale Campbell.
Thank you so much for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard.